especially those who hire trainers, that there is this dependency, kind of like a child-parent relationship that goes on, like someone is telling you what to do. If I'll be working with a client and they come and tell me that this is why I'm going to the gym and this is exactly why I'm training myself to get a better shape, that's exactly where I'm not going to look at. People are addicted to that shame, and this is how they understood how they're loved. I think we all are in a way or another addicted to certain emotions, because that's how we learned how to receive love from our parents. A lot of women, in my opinion, suffer from thyroid issues and they're not even aware of it, because they go and they just check their TSH and nothing shows up. The other day, one of my clients said, because she used to know me, she's like, how did you learn to accept your body? I'm like, I haven't. A good diet has to be a sustainable diet, something that you can maintain a lifetime. For us coaches, like, it's a super difficult job because you're so passionate. Brings me to the question, why did we pick this profession?
And blast off! How's it going, Hoodie? I just wanted to let everyone know this is one of my classmates that I met at a workshop. We both met there, and all I can say is there's so many good things I can say about Hoodie. She's a very curious person. One of the reasons I wanted to have you here is because I also would like to pick your brain and also create some curiosity in losing weight and thyroid problems, working with women. What was your experience of that, and the whole holistic wellness industry? Okay, because your perspective is very different from others, and I would like to think everyone is unique in their own way. Yours is very transparent in your videos. Welcome to Holistic Habitat, a place where we support you in your holistic journey, where mind, body, and spirit work together for that desirable and mindful change. So, Hoodie, before we start, let's give the audience a description of who you are, because I know you're a mother, you're also a holistic wellness practitioner, whatever you want to call it. You can tell me, what would you like to call yourself? Maybe start there.
Thank you for having me, Alejandro. It's good to see you.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate your projection about my curiosity and transparency. It's good that I'm coming across that way. Who am I? I'm Hoodie. I'm a holistic health and inner coach. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm 45 years old, if that helps, which the reason why I'm saying that is because I think most of what I learned is through the experiences I had in my life versus the coachings or the courses and the things I've done. So it was mostly life experiences.
45 years of wise experiences.
Some wise, some stupid, some shameful, some fearful. There are many of those.
How'd you even get into this course with Jator Pierre? Jator Pierre, by the way, everyone, is a mindfulness coach, very reflective person, and he created a course on working with your shadow, working with your inner child. But why did you decide to go towards that route? Because I know you're a holistic practitioner, you know about the body, but why the spiritual, psychological part of it?
Mainly I started working before Jator with our common mentor, John Macmillan. And the reason why I was guided into doing this kind of work is because since early ages, like when I was just doing fitness training, when I was just a fitness trainer, I started realizing that there is something missing. People could lose weight, people can gain weight, can get healthy, can get unhealthy, but there is something missing in the puzzle. And the seed started growing in me when I started attending Czech Institute. And later from Czech Institute, I came across John Macmillan. And from John Macmillan, I heard the name Jator Pierce. And I'm like, okay, there's something for me in here. And that's how it all started. And I don't know if it's fair to say, but also just working on myself. Like, I am training, I am eating healthy food, I'm sleeping right, I'm doing everything by the book. But if the emotional well-being is not in place, again, you're not complete, you're not whole, you're not looking at the picture holistically. And I realized it's a very important, big piece of the puzzle.
Now, do you see when people working on their objective, their goals, some people call it dreams, what do you think is it that they revert back? Why do you think that is?
Well, that's a quite general question. And it's a good question. If I may rephrase what you're asking, I'm thinking is that why do people, let's say, set goals, reach those goals, and then maybe go back into old habits and if, let's say, if they lost weight and reached a specific goal, they gain weight back. Is that what you're asking?
That's correct.
I don't know if I have like one answer that can answer that question, but my guess would be is that a lot of times when we set goals, I don't know if those goals or those dreams or whatever you want to call it is actually what we exactly need. A lot of times there is something deeper that we're aiming for. Maybe we want to be liked by somebody else. Maybe we want to be seen by somebody else. A lot of times we don't even do it for ourselves. That could be one possibility. Another possibility could be that cycle is serving a purpose. Maybe they're getting certain attention. I wonder, what other possibilities do you think are there?
No, that definitely resonates with me because that's what I've done in the past. I wanted to look a certain way because I wanted to be accepted by society. And so what I would do is overexert myself at the gym, overexert myself by doing restrictive diets in order to look a certain way to be accepted. In my perspective, I didn't receive that as a child. Here comes the victim mentality popping up. But I was always getting picked on as a little child, and I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. I was the black sheep, and that really formed my mentality till this day. And I'm still working on those pieces of me that have been destroyed. But that plays a big role in my perspective when it comes to the wellness, or not even the wellness, but the people that are into bodybuilding. When they lack confidence, they come over here. So that's what I'm lacking. Is I lack the confidence, which is why I want to create a certain look in order to be accepted and feel confident again.
Are you saying that most people who go to the gym are black sheep and they lack confidence and therefore that's why they want to improve their shapes?
I want to say that I would say a few that it's hard to say because I can't say everyone, but what I can say is that there are others like me. That's what I can say for sure.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. And if I may just give a story, I think it's quite similar to what you said, and maybe I can add another possibility. Just a few days ago, I was training at the gym. You making me ask myself, why am I training at the gym? Am I trying to be more confident? Certainly, yes. I want to look better, especially that this is my field, and I've gained weight the last few years, and that's a whole another story. Certainly, I want to be more confident because when you have a better body, you're automatically more confident. But maybe another perspective is that, especially those who hire trainers, that there is this dependency, kind of like a child-parent's relationship that goes on. Like someone is telling you what to do and you need to make sure to obey or comply to those instructions. So that could be one possibility as well. I mean, I think there are lots of possibilities, and if I'll be working with a client and they come and tell me that this is why I'm going to the gym and this is exactly why I'm training myself to get a better shape, that's exactly where I'm not going to look at. I'm going to search for so many other possibilities. Just the other day I was at the gym and there is this new guy at the gym. He comes and there's this trainer who's quite a muscular guy. And while he started training him, he started really bragging about who else is training, and I'm overhearing them. How some people are super stubborn and they don't stick to their food and they do this and they do that, and he makes them do things. And all I'm hearing is shaming. What I'm feeling is I'm feeling super embarrassed because I was that trainer once upon a time. I used to train that way. I used to tell people what to do, and when they didn't do it, I used to politely, more kindly shame them. and not understand where they're coming from. One other possibility could be that people are addicted to that shame, and this is how they understood how they're loved, maybe through receiving that shaming, through receiving that harsh, do it this way or else kind of way. So
what pops up is receiving the shame creates comfortability and security because it's what they know. Not sure if that's true for you. It sounds very not true.
Yeah, I think we all are in a way or another addicted to certain emotions, because that's how we learned how to receive love from our parents, from our society, from our school, teachers, etc. And yes, it sounds very counterintuitive, but we don't do it consciously. Oftentimes it's the automatic subconscious that is running the show. And you know very well, 99% of the time it's autopilot. We're not even conscious.
So do you think that's the trick or the practice of working on becoming conscious?
Depends what's your understanding of conscious. I still don't know what that means fully, but to be more aware, to get to know ourselves a little bit better, to be more mindful, to be more connected to the self, I still wonder.
I think that's the magic of this universe, is that we'll never know. And I'm not saying the ego is bad or anything, but the ego likes to have control of situations or control of this is the answer.
Yeah, I think we do like having answers, and we like it fast now. Give it to me. Like I really need to know the answer now. I've been practicing being very mindful these days that sometimes my questions don't necessarily have to have answers. Sometimes it's just a question, and it's okay to hang it there for a while. The answer might come or the question might go, but it doesn't have to be answered. And this came to my attention through a fellow practitioner in the group. I've forgotten his name. Mikhail?
Mikhail. So does that mean I shouldn't have any questions for you, Huri? Man. Yeah, all this makes you really think, makes you really wonder and become curious. Kind of like what you teach. Curiosity. Another question I have for you, because you mentioned thyroid, that you had a thyroid problem, right? How did you heal that? Or is it even healed? Where do you think it came from? And I'm pretty sure you're going to give me multiple answers to that, but what do you think?
First of all, I wasn't diagnosed in laboratory. I had all the functional symptoms of thyroid. And I'm at a place where this is my opinion today, and it might not be true tomorrow. But I do believe that not all the issues can be diagnosed that easily in a lab test, especially the thyroid. I think there has to be done a lot of blood work and a lot of laboratory tests, and sometimes it's quite costly. The average insurance don't cover those laboratory tests. Therefore, a lot of women, in my opinion, suffer from thyroid issues, and they're not even aware of it because they go and they just check their TSH and nothing shows up. What I had was functional thyroid issue, I would call it. And the reason why I say functional, because there is a very easy way to test your thyroid, which is through your heartbeat and temperature upon waking up before you move your body. This tool can give you very cheap and very accurate results. Like if you do it for a duration of 1 week, and take the average of those two, if it's below a certain level, that indicates that there is a functional thyroid issue. It doesn't mean it's going to show in the laboratory test. And if it's higher from a certain range, then it means there is a hyperthyroidism. Again, this is what I know today, and it might not be true tomorrow, and I don't even know if it's researched or scientifically approved. But that's how I discovered, because I was feeling very cold. I had all the symptoms of what thyroid issue would be, from migraines, severe migraines, lack of recovery from exercise, breathing issues, sleeping issues. I wasn't sleeping. I was waking up every night. I was living in the hottest city in the world, one of the hottest cities in the world. Just going to the supermarket, I would freeze from the ACs, from the air conditioning, and I would come home and I'm still shivering. I had dark patches on my skin, all sorts of symptoms. How did I cure that? Is first of all, I hired a fellow practitioner to start coaching me, because I do believe every coach needs a coach at times. He introduced me to Dr. Ray Peat's work, and surely but slowly we reversed all the symptoms within 2 or 3 months, I would say. But I gained a lot of weight as a result. If I go back in time, I would do it slightly differently. And one of the things that I had to reintroduce back, believe it or not, Alejandro, was sugar. Because I was cutting sugar for 3-4 years completely, like even watching out how much fruits I would consume, based on what I learned from Dr. Ray Peat's work, that sugar is extremely important to keep the liver stored with glycogen. Therefore, your thyroid can convert the T4 into T3, the inactive form to active form. And when you're depleted, it starts having hard time, and it starts breaking protein, which is a much harder process, into doing this job. Today, I don't necessarily agree with everything Dr. Ray Peat says. Again, that's another, how would I say, questioning everything and waiting for the answer at the right time. Because I think if I have done it slightly differently, I wouldn't have gained this much weight.
Gaining this weight, what stuff came up for you?
Lack of confidence, for sure. A lot of childhood issues, I would say, that is still in process, because I gained weight at a certain age when I was a kid, and I could see the circle repeating itself, and I'm still wondering what's there. It's a question that is hanging. I haven't found a complete answer for that, and I don't know if I will ever find. What else? Actually, I'm glad you asked this question, because recently what I discovered is that sometimes when I coach people and they have or had similar issues that I suffered or have suffered from or still suffering from, I'm like, oh my God, maybe this is one of the purposes that issue is serving, because this way I can connect better, show more compassion, and show more empathy.
Yeah. Every story has a pro and con, or every trauma has a pro and con. That story, does it always flare up?
You mean the story of the weight?
Yes.
Not necessarily, no. But, coming from having 8 packs and being really athletic shape, and everybody's looking up into, and all of a sudden you have extra 44 pounds. You have to see that every day in the mirror. It's not necessarily always flaring up childhood memories, but it's something you have to live up with. And the other day, one of my clients said, because she used to know me when I had really athletic shape, she's like, how did you learn to accept your body? I'm like, I haven't. I do love myself with my weight, but I haven't accepted it, because if I accepted, part of me needs to surrender and say, okay, I don't need to do anything about this. And that's not where I am. I want to do something, and I am doing something about it.
That reminds me of body positivity. Do you think there's something wrong with that?
I think you know the answer for that already. What the first thing pops up in my mind is like, spiritual bypassing, body bypassing. Like, yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I buy that.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? What do you think?
When it comes to body positivity, I think I look at it as a guru. Have you ever seen a guru where they're so spiritual? They're so out of their body that they forget that they have a body. And that's how I see body positivity. The body is prone to diseases, and if you don't take care of the body, then it will eventually show up later on down the road. I mean, here comes the judgment. You will quickly realize when you start walking up the stairs. You'll quickly realize when you have to play with your kids and you can't take another breath because it's just too much for you and your body to handle that. It's up to them, but I would say it's better to let go of that story, because there's stories. We always create stories. We can fall in love with the stories to the point that it will hurt us. We can even talk about religion or a value that's not even yours that you still want to hold on to. What are the things do you think you still hold on?
If I know the answer, I wouldn't hold on to them.
Yeah.
But I can tell you how many things I had to let go, although they were values. So many mentors and teachers that came to my life that I was religiously like, I need to do whatever they're saying by the book. And I had to let go because no, not everything they say is the truth. And I have to have the chance to say, I don't agree with this point. Otherwise, if we keep on just holding into values and not trying to change or see a different perspective or be open, I think we would never evolve. Recently, like my child goes to alternative school, to Waldorf school. And I started seeing so many things that I dislike, completely against my values. And I could say if the closest things at this moment is letting go of that. The idea that, oh, wait a second, I might consider mainstream. I might consider a different approach, that it was a complete no before.
Oh, man, that triggers me. When you say mainstream, that triggers me so much.
Yeah, I'm
religious.
Triggered. I'm also triggered, but at the end of the day, what I came to realize is that what I need to look for is not necessarily the system itself, because that's something I'm so dogmatic and religious about. What I need to look and go search for is a good teacher, because it can be any system, but if you have a teacher that is doing the work from the heart and is passionate about it and it really loves the kids and see genius in them, it can be any system.
And it's doing what you love. And if the teacher is doing out of love and truly passionate, time is not even relevant. All they know is being there with the kids, maybe teenagers, maybe adults, but they're there, focus, because they love it so much. I had to find my passion or my calling later on down the road, like at the age of 20, 22, because I kept on listening to others rather than myself. Do you ever see yourself going off track?
I'm a human being, Alejandro.
Oh, sorry. I forget sometimes. Knowing you, Huri, I forget sometimes. So sorry about that.
All the time. All the time, my friend, all the time.
I was watching your Instagram videos, and one thing you talked about was restrictions. And I wonder why even invent the word if we can't even use restrictions. And I know you were talking about diets, if we want to like hone down to something tangible.
I restrict my child from entering the iPad more than a certain time. I love restrictions. I restrict myself from certain things. I restrict holding the phone after a certain time before going to bed. What I was specifically talking about was the diet, because a lot of times what I see happening, and that this is exactly what happened with me, is I restricted myself, for example, from any sugar craving. I taught myself not to crave sugar. What was the end result? The moment I was given the chance, in 3-4 months, 40 pounds. Because it was so tempting. I'm now able to eat. I mean, balance. Even with my child, like I have restriction, but if she comes and says, hey, I have this Minecraft game and I haven't finished my project and it's really like, I really want an extra 10 minutes because I want to finish up something. There is a high chance I'm going to open another 10 minutes. It depends though, like depending on the boundaries we set and the values we have. if the time is right, if the conditions are right and everything. But when it comes to diet, I think a lot of times what I see happening is people stop eating this, stop eating that. I was one of those, organic all the time. And yeah, I still eat 99.9% organic, but if I'm somewhere, I'm invited somewhere and they haven't cooked organic food, I'm going to sit and eat with them non-organic food. And I'm not going to question and I'm not going to think about it. A lot of people restrict, and then they give up. A good diet has to be a sustainable diet, something that you can maintain a lifetime. I don't think any of us can maintain anything that is restricted a lifetime.
It reminds me of Buddhism, that life is impermanent and things are going to shift. I mean, we see it in diets. I see it in myself. I was one of those extremists where I would bring all the food with me. And if there's no organic food, I'll just look at it and just say, I'm good.
Been there.
Oh.
Can I just interrupt you for a second?
No. Okay. I'm kidding. Go for it.
Today we had a gathering of group of parents, forest teachers, etc. And the forest teacher is a good friend of mine. She came and she offered some pizza she baked at home, and I said no, thank you, because not because I'm restricting. I eat pizza, but today it's not in my macros to. Like I'm counting calories, I'm counting because I want to get to a certain shape that I want, and I wasn't craving pizza. If I would have craved, I would have had. And I said, no, thank you. And she said, yeah, I know it's not a specific flour and it's not organic. I'm like, she hasn't seen me for a while. We haven't got together for a while. I'm like, Tia, I'm no more that strict about things. So no, it's not for that reason. It's just I'm watching what I'm eating and what goes into my mouth. And at this moment, I don't feel like having a pizza, but thank you. So even people have that, still that idea of me rejecting and saying, no, thank you, and preferring staying hungry, although you're craving food, it's still stuck in their head. And I'm trying to say, no, I've changed. I've come a long way.
Wow, that's crazy. Because if you think about it, everyone that you stop talking to or you deviate from them for a while, they still have that same exact image of who they think you are. And
but we do the same though.
We do, yeah. Yeah. Very psychological. Very psychological. I think when I was studying psychology, they were talking about how it takes, don't quote me on this, but it takes about 3 seconds to judge someone by looking at their face, the way they look, the way they speak. Just 3 seconds. In reality, it's based off your own traumas or your own experiences of others in the past that looks like that person that you just saw.
I'm curious, do you think it's only that or it's intuition also playing a role? I'm really curious. I don't know the answer.
Knowing that I believe that there's auras. I believe there is like a magnetic field. I believe that plays a role, maybe depending on the distance, because I really don't know how far that field is. But I think if we're talking about the psychological / spirituality part of it, then I think it plays a role. And that feels right for me. Yeah.
Because most of the time when I'm at the first instant, not even 3 seconds, I think second or two, if I have this feeling that I didn't like the person, almost always and then I say, no, give them time, trust them, maybe you're wrong. And then after a while, I discover oh, wow, you had a good reason why not to. But I wonder if it's the first few seconds where the intuition is, and then afterwards you just link it to somebody else or an experience you had in the past. I'm super curious, and I want to do a research about it. When does what happen? If anybody has researched that before.
And I know you also talked about thoughts, and that we have, I think you said 400 thoughts a day.
I don't remember.
Okay, well, 600 thoughts a day, whatever. But if we can maybe just witness what thoughts flare up in that moment, or of those 600 thoughts.
Agree. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very interesting stuff.
Yeah. You make me think. I like that.
One thing I want to say is if you were a man, I'd say you're a curious George.
Is there a female name for
Georgia?
Georgia? Georgia. It's
Georgia.
yeah. Where I live in Cyprus, the name Georgia is very common, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Curious
Cyprus.
Georgia.
What time is it over there, by the way?
It's 8:20 p.m.
PM? Jeez. Here in Houston, y'all, we're at 12:22 p.m. And I have no shame bringing Georgia here on this call because she agreed to it, taking full responsibility.
No, it's an absolute honor and pleasure. Every time I talk to you, it's I really truly enjoy it. So.
Ah, well, you don't. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Another thing I want to ask you, the whole holistic wellness side of things. I want to know your perspective of this, and this is what's going to solve all their problems. I want to know your take on that.
Take on that now or a week earlier?
Just 1 second.
Because I think, oh my God, I have like so many answers to this question or so many perspectives. First of all, I'm at times getting triggered from the word holistic. And the reason is because what I see around is a lot of times people pretending that they know all the answers, and also including myself. Like, I'm not just talking about random people. I'm even talking about myself with my own issues. To give you an example, I had the sleeping problems the last 4 days. Similarly, I had breathing issues just a few months ago while I started heavyweight training again. And both times, like, as if I'm not even learning the lesson here. Both times I'm like, oh my God, my thyroid. As if like, it's flaring up, a memory, an experience which I don't want to repeat living. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I having emotionally? Am I taking too many responsibilities of the people that I'm, around me? Why am I my thyroid? Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Just like paranoia. And then the gym problem was a dust problem. The gym was not clean enough. And then I discovered one day that there was like a huge spider web in hidden places that accumulated so much dust. I'm like, now I know what's happening. The fan is circulating and then all this dust is being spread, and I really get bothered. The same thing. The last few days I'm not sleeping. And then I'm like, this is similar symptoms when there is dust around. Where could there be dust? Oh, the air conditioning filter. When was the last time I cleaned it? And then I just opened it. It's full of dust. But my head is going into so many other places that the simple solution, the simple answer, I'm not even searching for anymore. I'm waking up 2 a.m. in the morning. Oh my God, there must be something wrong with my liver. There must be something wrong with my thyroid. There must be as if I know the answer for every problem. And I think this is a huge problem in the holistic world. As much as the mainstream is focused on fear, it's fear-based. I think the holistic world is as focused on fear-based, because we have a solution, an answer for every problem. That's one. If I receive clients that, let's say, they want to come and just work on their nutrition, I would just work on their nutrition and then invite them, saying, hey, what I know is that just working on your nutrition might take you to this place, but if on parallel, if you worked on your emotions, you might actually go a much longer way. Would you be interested? And I would respect both answers, because if they said no, I planted the seed. Maybe that seed will grow in a year's time, in 2 years' time. Maybe it will never grow. But that's not up to me anymore. If they want to stick just working on nutrition, well, that's one piece of the puzzle. At least they're solving one piece of puzzle. Maybe they're not ready for the emotional part yet. And I had such clients.
You have a lot of empathy.
Because I've been there. I wasn't ready all the time for emotional work. But guess what? When you work on your nutrition, when you work on your exercise, sooner or later, when you have that good posture, good shape, good physique, that is going to lead you into good, hopefully, emotions. Or maybe not. But I don't think it's our job to push people into something they're not ready for. Our job is just to invite them. It's up to them they accept that invitation or not.
Yeah. The opposite of inviting is forcing.
Or being careless and just like not doing anything. That could be, I don't know. Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, sometimes the love I have is so strong that I want to change someone.
I've been there so many times, and sometimes I'm still there. I'm not saying I'm perfectly not pushing people. But just a month ago, a friend of mine who's suffering from back pain, which I know I can help her a lot because I can see the problem, but she's not willing to listen. And every time she comes and says, I've tried everything, I'm like, no, you haven't, in my head. And then she comes and says, I'm trying this homeopath, and he's giving me this, and I'm like, oh my God, like, in my understanding, homeopathy doesn't work that way, but I try to keep it to myself. I try to swallow it, and sooner or later, I just said it out loud, and I'm so ashamed of myself for doing that. I'm embarrassed because I said, do you know that this is what I do for a living? Like, sort of, why you're not asking me? It was a very pushy way, and yeah, I'm not 100% planting seeds all the time. Sometimes I do that push, that passion comes out in a very pushy way, but it's much less than before. Like I would say 90% of the time it's more invitational. Maybe that's how I'm seeing myself. Maybe people would say the opposite. I don't know. But
Like,
I'm being more mindful.
yeah, what comes up for me is suppression. You want to say something, but maybe in the back of your mind you say no. And I'm not saying you, but me. It's funny because everyone that's watching this, everything's a mirror. When I say you, I really mean me. What I think is, coming from a loving perspective, they don't need to, but they get to find out for themselves, so that way they can teach themselves how to work on their diet, work on their way of healing. But again, if something just comes out of me out of nowhere, I would think that's something I am suppressing. And I wonder if that's true.
Yeah, for me, what comes up is that if we go back to archetypes, I'm a caregiver. Like mother archetype is so strong in me. I can see that. And I had to find my way to neutralize it, not just give all the time, which still happens, but much less. And whenever such an incident happens, I don't just go shame myself. I would just go, why did I have the need to save this person from themselves? What's going on in here? What is it that I'm trying to save myself from? And I don't have the courage. Therefore, it's easier to go and save her, that friend, or whoever. I think relationships and this kind of encounters are a great place for us to discover ourselves, with awareness, of course. But
Lots of awareness.
For us coaches, like, it's a super difficult job because you're so passionate. Like, and again, it brings me to the question: why did we pick this profession to start with?
If you ask me, mine comes from my childhood. I wanted to look a certain way. Going back to that story that I told you earlier, that's where it all started. And there's pros and cons from that story. And I wonder why I keep holding on to that story. What is serving me right now and what is not from that one story? I don't want to judge that. because everything is one in order to make life. At least that's my understanding. But I do think you have something there when you say that you're more compassionate to self and you treat yourself a little bit better than last time. How can someone do that?
I mean, how do you take care of your child, physical child? A lot of times our decisions and our opinions and our thoughts are not ours. It's the inner child inside. The more we ignore, the harsher we're with ourselves, right? I mean, I like inner child work. Just the connection. I wouldn't even call it work, just on a regular basis. And thank you for reminding, Alejandro, because I tend to forget that I have an inner child inside that sometimes needs to play, that sometimes needs to not take life seriously and just be silly. Luckily, I have a 9-year-old biological child who teaches me or reminds me on a regular basis that, hey, we don't need to be serious all the time. Play, mommy.
Yeah, we have lost that part of us. I mean,
I don't know if it's lost or it's just hiding somewhere.
See, I'm looking at it as society, and maybe how you were brought up. Maybe you just had to grow so fast. And I've heard, actually, I know a couple of people that take the time to do inner child work, whether they're watching animations, kids, movies, and they say the same thing. I didn't have a childhood, they say.
It's
and
never
maybe
too late.
That's never too late, yeah. And maybe that's why Michael Jackson does what he does. Well, Huri, it is 57 minutes and 44 seconds, 45, 46, 47. And I don't want to keep you up because it's nighttime over there. And you probably need your beauty sleep.
You bet.
Self-care. How would you like to end this? I'll lend the camera towards you, so let's flip it around towards you. What would you like to tell people? I mean, what comes up at this moment? What do you want to offer? You tell me.
There's just one phrase that keeps popping up in my head, which is be kind to yourself. And don't try to be kind to others because it's not going to work unless you're kind to yourself. So just be kind to yourself. Don't try to fix yourself. There is nothing in you that is broken. And I'm saying this to myself before anybody else. I'm not trying to preach something, but that's what I normally try to guide my clients to head before anything else.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's a great reminder for me as well, because I forget.
We all do. And I have to constantly remind myself because I catch myself going into kind to yourself. It's okay.
Whew. Thank you, Huri, again for coming in and talking to all of us because these are great questions to ask and to be curious, and that there's might not even be no answer to anything.
Thank you, Michael. I don't know. You know, it's the way the name Michael, you can say it in so many ways. So
yeah,
I think he says Michael.
Ah, who knows? Tomato.
Yeah, that's what I learned from him.
Oh, by the way, everyone, I will leave all her information. Maybe she's offering some consultation. We'll put it on the description down below so you guys can check her out. Maybe hire her for some things, some coaching. We'll see what we have there. So thank you, Huri.
Thank you so much, Alejandro, and you're welcome. And I'm truly honored that you considered having me here.
Hey, people that I find fascinating, you're one of those. So thank you for being here.
That means a lot. We see in others what's true about ourselves. So
thank you. All right, y'all. Namaste.